Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Road to Rotation. This time we're on one of my favorite leaders for a long time, Blue Purple Crocodile. He is a 5,000 power special leader with 4 life, blue and purple, with Dawn ×1. After you activate an event, you may draw 1 card if you have 4 left cards in your hand and haven't drawn a card using this leader effect during this turn. So this is a really overcosted ability for what it does, because you usually have to hold up, put a Dawn on leader and have to hold up Dawn for some of your events. So it's quite difficult to get online, but certainly not impossible. And it's one that I've always been trying to make work. So some of the special things about Crocodile, we have access to this Miss All Sunday, who, if your leader is Brokeworks, you can get an event back from the trash. It's really good with the 0 cost events and Okamawe, as well as Red Rock. As a great curve on 10 Dawn, you can put 1 on leader, Red Rock something, draw a card, and then play Miss All Sunday, get back Red Rock for the following turn. Other cards that we have that are Brokeworks focused, we have Bonclay and this Crocodile here, just as a source of healing. Then we have Katakuri. It's just kind of a mandatory purple card at this point. And then we have just a smattering of other cards. We got some Gear 2s as other access to ramp. Miss All Sunday as another ramp card. Nor Beam Sword just as a kind of wombo combo. Pudding and Charlotte Linlin. And that is kind of the deck. So let's hop into some games and hopefully we can get some decent competition. Ooh, up first we have a Crocodile Mirror, blue-purple versus yellow-purple. My opponent opted to go first, which works out for this because we have the Monclay, so we're going to keep here. This is going to be an interesting one. I think they're probably better off in the Baroqueworks package. I think I'm going to counter here. I don't think that... Alright, that's unfortunate that they got that. I think I'm actually not going to attack here. Just because this Miss Wednesday gets them so much value for them to get ahead. And now that we are a little bit ahead, we will have an opportunity to play down our Croc before they get to play down theirs. Which I think is a pretty big advantage for us here. Shiroshi is one that I wasn't expecting. Just expecting a 7 here. I think I'm going to counter this one. We're going to give them... We are going to 7 next turn. Let's give them Giant Nor Beam Sword so we can draw a card here. Now we're set up to deal with their guy quite nicely now, actually. They're going to be going up to 7. If I give them this swing, then it puts them up to 8. So we're going to pass here so that we can get down to our Crocodile first. Or Katakuri is the... Well, no, yeah. Katakuri is probably the more likely card we put down. Let's see how our opponent plays it, though. This is definitely not a normal matchup. Are they just going to swing a 5? I think we will just take this one here. What is this? 2 or less? No, we're not going to trigger that. We are going to be going to... We're at 8 going to 10, which is great for us. So now we're at 10. Let's play down this Katakuri. And then now I think we're fair to start swinging, because our opponent doesn't get ahead essentially in their Dawn at this point. And we get to kind of exert some good pressure here. We can use this Katakuri and kind of put them in a weird spot if they wanted to protect their cannot attack. That's fine. I was fine with not attacking there. We are going to choose 0 targets, gain Arrested Dawn. Our opponent is at 10, which is fine for us. We have our red rocks ready to deal with whatever big body they do play. Seven here. That leaves them with 8 left. I think they're just going to play Croc here. So I'm just going to block here, and then we can use this Missile Sunday. We're going to protect. They play a Katakuri of their own. I am going to get to Red Rocket, which is great. Red Rock. I think it is correct to keep their board pretty clear here. I'm gonna do their Miss Wednesday. Okay. Is it correct to keep? I think it's probably just correct to keep going here. So we want to do at least 5 here. We're gonna copy your base, and then we'll do a 7, and then an 8. Yeah, I think this is a pretty decent spot to be in. We'll do a 7. And then we'll do an 8. And then we'll end the turn, stand you up. Arrested Dawn. I'm expecting a big body to come out of our opponent, in which we will just Red Rock. And then we have good defensive here. If this was slightly stronger, I would do it. I think I'm going to block actually here. I think this is going to be great for whatever they play. This will get some good value here, and I don't think our opponent's going to have something else they can do. Oh, Black Bug, that's an interesting one. I do think that it is it correct to ignore that? It very well might be here. Let's just start swinging here. Let's keep our options open here. What is the correct line here? I feel like it might be to do Red Rock Missile Sunday, and I think that's what I'm going to go for. We're going to stand you back up and gain Arrested Dawn. I think we're in a really strong spot right here. Our opponent doesn't have great options. If they do find one of their big top end cards, if it's not Katakuri, then we're in an okay spot. Let's see what they put in my life. I expect it to be this Missile Sunday. They're gonna heal. Yes, I was correct in that. Here, I'm expecting Okamawe, so let's go with some 9s. So that they don't get out for free. And then we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, another 9, and then another 9, and hold up 1. Let's see if they get a trigger here. They very well might. Okay, they got a Hawkins. And then let's go one more. And they do Okamawe. Choose a Linlin and then give me... Oh, they let her go. That is not expected. That must mean they have no counter. Which means they have pretty much all top end or all Okamaways. They're playing Akuma. I think we just ignore Kuma at this point. Yeah, so they're probably... Let's go with 7s this time, because 7 is enough to get rid of the Kuma. Another Okama is probably pretty likely here. 1, 2, and that leaves me with 6 left. So let's do another 7. Then we'll go with an 8. Okama over here, that's fine. They're gonna heal, and then we'll play this all Sunday, and we'll pass, standing up our guy. Our opponent is kind of treading water here. They have to do something pretty dramatic to get out of this. Here, I'm going to disrespect the Okama ways now that we've seen 2 of them. I'm going to swing up, and we get there. So that we win the Croc battle here. I think being able to starve their Miss Wednesday and get ahead of on ramp ourselves really helped us out. But let's jump into the next one. Alright, next up we have Yellow Linlin. This one's going to be interesting. My opponent has opted to go second. I think I'm going to keep this. I think this is going to work out okay. We will set up to try to get an early Croc and do the same thing we did last time where we set up for early Croc plus what's it called? Plus Red Rock. Going into our next turn, we'll be on 5 up to 6. Let's chew on lead. Let's see if we can't get our opponent to take. Let's see here. I am not going to use that one because I'm worried a little about the big bombs at the end of the game. We're going to play this pretty straightforward. We want our opponent to just keep on taking. We'll see if they counter. 7's a pretty reliable number at getting people to take. Good. And then on our following turn, I think we're going to go for the pudding play. Just because our opponent will only be going to 8. And we don't want them 5 here. I think I'm going to give them 1 of our spare ones here. Yeah, we're going to take this 7. We are going to use this trigger. Yeah, that fits nicely here. We get to here. I think let's do pudding to prevent them from defending their board here. And then it's correct to swing with board here because they did stack something into life. I don't know what it is. It is a blocker. Blocker we don't care about. Let's go with a 7, and then we will probably counter plus a what's it called here? A gear 2. One will be going to 8. They have a bit of attacking, but we'll see how they play this. They do need to stay at least 1 to use their leader ability. And I would not be surprised to see them want to use their leader ability here, which means, ooh. If they split here, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to grant my opponent 1. I don't think they're gonna go for it. So I'm expecting leader ability plus. Yeah, that's fine. Not trying to defend that. Probably a 6 or a 7 here. A 7 at Miss All Sunday, probably. No. 6. I think we have to let it go. And then a 7 at lead. We're going to... I think we're going to give an extra card here. So we can draw here. Okay, that's pretty good. We're gonna use this pudding just to poke at this here. A Linlin. I'm going to trash 2 cards, you and you. I think it's correct for red rock here. So we can do 1, 2, 3 after. Let's go this here. We can just do 2. Is 2 correct? We need to at least do... Let's just go at face. Here, because I don't think killing Kikunojo is going to work out for us very well. We do block, and then we're going to red rock you and draw a card. Okay. We do have this Cobra, which is putting on a huge amount of defense here. A 5 at life. I suppose I am going to take this one. We will try to get out of... so this is probably a 10 mom, so we are not going to block that one. If it's an ace and we die for it, well, then we got. Oh, it's neither. I'm going to trash the top of my life. That's an easy decision. Okay, so here, let's do you, pitch, gain 1 life, put you on bottom. And then I think it's correct to just do a 5 here. And they have lots of blockers. Blockers don't mean that much to me right now. We are definitely going to try to set up behind our... We'll see if they have the 10 mom. I don't know if we saw... I wasn't paying enough attention to see if they did search it. Here's the 10 mom, yep. So we're going to give this... And... There we go. So now we need to play out the Missile Sunday here. So I think we have to go... How do we play this? Do we go at face? I think we might have to, unfortunately. If I go... Probably should go 10 here. Try to get some cards out of their hand, or you get one of those blockers out of the way. This Croc, I kind of wish I'd played out the Croc instead of the Big Mom. Another 10 at it. Yeah, 10 sounds right. And then we'll play out Missile Sunday. Okay, they do give that. Play out Missile Sunday and pass here. I think they probably have us here. Playing out the Zeus is not the correct way to do it, though. I don't think they realized. Although they do have a very large swing. I'm just done here. Probably stacking on Linlin, which will clean it up. They're playing with fire here. And no no block, King Cobra, use card action, and a 1. And now they have a plenty to get there, but... Alright, that was a tough one. Them setting up the triggers worked out quite nicely for them. I am surprised that this one, they placed it like that. That's a very interesting way to place them. But, on to the next one. Alright, here we have an interesting one, Shiroshi. I've played enough against this one to where I think I will be able to navigate this one okay. But it is definitely going to be a tough one. Opponent chose to go first. We have a great hand, so we are going to keep. We have lots of ramp, actually. Like, lots and lots of ramp. Enough to where it's almost correct to use this gear 2 right away. And I think it might... Well, no, because our opponent won't swing at us. We don't have to worry about our opponent attacking us. Let's just pass back. The Bonkle is going to be quite strong because of our opponent is going to be playing very large bodies. Another Shiroshi. That is unfortunate for us. But it does mean this Bonkle is going to have something to swing into. But it does mean we have to use it a little earlier than I would prefer. So, you, active done, you. Finding the first red rock is great. And we're going to pass here. Our opponent unlikely to attack us here. I could see Bug-Eye, Neptunian coming out to get rid of Bonkle, which wouldn't be unreasonable for our opponent to do. We are definitely in the starve mode. This Linlin is going to be great at helping with that. Being able to put one of their bigger Neptunians into the life. Yeah, and they're going to make it tough because they're going to have tons of cards here. Interesting that they opted not to play that off of leader ability. It looks like they probably won't be using the Shiroshi or they won't be using leader ability at this point. They grab the blocker one. Okay, so they're not using the Shiroshi. Alright, I think here it's probably correct to not actually swing into them. So we're just gonna pass here. I don't want to give them cards. I will be able to use these on their bodies on this coming turn. Unless they play Hody. If they play enough Hodies, then, well, we get got. But I think we have a decent shot. We're definitely going to use this Linlin next turn to start getting rid of bodies. Let's see how our opponent plays it though. They can't do Hody and leader ability, which might put them off of using Hody. They're going to play out Tori. They're going to do a 5. I think it's probably fine to use Missile Sunday here, especially in the context of them having access to Hodies in the late game. Activating Shiroshi here. Big one here. Here, I'm actually going to use the Gattlings so that I can draw. That's great. We are going to be going, we're at 8, we're going to be going to 10. Oh, we resolved the attack, sorry. Okay, I think it's correct to just put this guy in life right away. We are going to trash one of these gear 2s to put you, gain a life, put you on the bottom. Then we're going to swing a 5 here. Let's see if they bite. It does look like they are probably going to defend this. So let's go at it again. It is correct to get rid of the Shiroshi here afterwards. And I think I'm not going to try to hold up leader ability here. We're just gonna accept that we won't get this card this time around. And the trade-off being that we get to use gear 2 to protect our life once, if we need it. Not that we had anything to otherwise trigger anyways. Well, Mihawk is a perfect. I'm glad we didn't have to use Red Rock yet. And we're in the mode here where we can use Red Rock and Missile Sunday and leader ability here. So I'm not going to be able to defend these two, but we will be in a great spot nonetheless. They are going to put on a whole lot of pressure here. Yep, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. One on lead. Red Rock Mihawk, draw a card. 9 at this one. Let's see. Okay, I think this is fine ultimately because we get to, let's go here. They are going to likely take this. So maybe there's a world in which it's incorrect to actually go here. Yeah, they do take this here. I'm going to play this out, but I do think that it's not going to survive. Another Uroko. We're gonna go ahead and get back the Red Rock. Jinbei. Character Rush. 11. Interesting that they opted to do that. That is pretty easy for me to deal with. We are going to take here. And I'm going to trigger this so I can get some extra card draw. Ooh, nice. We are going to take this one as well. Pudding is not great here. Alright, so we have 6, that means 4 is left. We need 1 up for an event. So that's 3 left. We go 10 and a 7. So let's do a 7 here. A 10 here. Red Rock, Jimbei, and pass. They do have a whole lot of beef here, so this is going to be a tough one. But we are not out of, or not donezo yet. Especially with our opponent only having the 2 cards. If they choose to go at Big Mom, we are not in a great spot. Oh, and it looks like they may very well have been down to no counter. So we are going to probably get to remove 2 guys here. Yeah, this is fine. I'd rather them try this. The more cards they let me burn here, the better. Here we do the King Cobra. I'm gonna go 1 more 9 at it probably. Yeah, we have a very resilient deck here. Gonna go 10 here. Let's do Red Rock, one of the 8s, draw a card, and then a 7 here. Probably have a counter. Yeah, they did have the counter. So we're gonna, this one's gonna be close. Probably going to get Big Mom off the field, but we'll see. They have to commit some Shiroshi. That's quite an annoyance. But they have no cards left, which is great. 16. That is going to work. That's fine. We're gonna take here. Ooh, nice. We do get to remove Smoker here. So it only takes 2 to remove Smoker, which we are gonna go for. Then we're gonna play Crocodile, use card action, and pass. I'm gonna get some cards here, which is a little unfortunate, but it was bound to happen. We're gonna get to play this guy out for 1. We are definitely hanging on. We are not going to use the action. Let's actually counter here. Get our draw out of the way so we know what we're getting. Cancel. We're going to take this one. Alright, so they have no cards. This is at 9. We can just swing at it. And then we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, another 9. I have to let it go. There's nothing to be done about it. And then we play Missile Sunday, and we pass. Another Mihawk. Bit of an annoyance, but we can deal with it. We are going to use the card action this time. We don't need that many of those. I am actually going to take this one in the hopes of getting another red rock. Otherwise, we will get this one, get it off of this. Grab the red rock. And then we need to do, you're at 10, you're at 7. So let's red rock you. And then 7. And cancel. We only need to do 10 here. And we pass. So we're about to turn the corner here. Opponent is really cramped here. We can just hit him a couple times with lead while we set up the Katakuris. Opponent's probably a little frustrated. This deck is definitely one that can really drain out your opponent's patience. Zeus. Oh, interesting that they opted to play that. We are going to use the card action, and we're going to get rid of this. And then let's do no blocker, gear 2, and counter. And I did that out of order. If I had countered first with that, then I would have been able to connect it better. Okay, so this is the easy 5 here. Put 1 on lead, 9 lead. And then Katakuri, intern, choose your get invested. If they have the Hody, they can get us here. Well, no, because the Zeus won't be big enough to get around. I have counter for putting Smoker, reasonable, and Fisher Tiger. Here, let's do a 6. And 8. And 9. Let's see what this trigger is. 9. And another Katakuri. Alright, so we're a little bit insulated from Hody Jones. Opponent needs to connect 3 times, or 1, 2, 3, 4. They need 4 swings, they only have 3 on board. So they need a Hody, in which case I can counter out of the Zeus to deny them the, well, no, because they get to take away my 2 blocks. Hody still gets them the game here, although I do have Cobra and Rain, which is a great place to be. Charlie. And they're looking for Fishman Island. I don't think Hody is Fishman Island, actually. I think he is on the other side, and they do not hit anything, but it is a blocker. So it was probably the correct play no matter what. Opponent restands with Smoker. Expecting some probably just big swings here. We just have to make sure we don't lose to Zeus here. They're going with a 5. I am going to use the card action just in case. Okamawe makes it nigh impossible for us to lose. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one of the King Kong Cobras. I'm going to not block and give you a pudding. An 8. I think it is correct to do the Cobra here and resolve. And then we take this, banish it. Yeah, we take a 10. We go no blocks, rain here. I think that's probably enough to have it with math. So we're just gonna go 9s. I think that is the correct number. And then 9. And then 7. Yes, we got there. Wow, that was really grindy. Kind of really showcases how much defense this deck can generate. It's not always as reliable as that, but there are definitely a lot of cards that just will chain you into infinite defense. But let's go over to the wrap-up. All right, here for the wrap-up. As you guys saw probably in that last game, this deck has been really resilient. It's one that's really tough to find the right groove for. You have to kind of identify which cards you need to be using in what order. There were definitely a couple times where if I had countered in a different order, I would have gotten a card draw, but I didn't. But it's a really interesting deck. Being able to use Red Rock that many times, plus having some pretty decent heal and top end with Katakuri and Crocodile here, makes it for a pretty interesting deck. It's also really interesting if you can be against a deck that you you can get ahead of with your purple side, and then you can play the red rocks after your first top end card. One of the big weaknesses to this deck, though, is the big red and big green decks are just better on their top end than you are, and red rock is not enough to deal with those decks, particularly like Shanks. They just get to play 10 drops that KO your guys. So your guys all capped out at 9k really can be detrimental. This deck really would love to have a good 11 or 12k body that it could play down that had a reasonable effect. But it is just not something that's ever been really printed for these decks. But overall, I had a lot of fun. Pudding, maybe I don't need all 4 of them, but otherwise this deck did feel pretty solid. And I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about this one. But that'll wrap up for now, and I will see you guys in the next episode where we go over OP01 King. But until next time, bye.